Alright, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say Kalayim Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Bashim Al-Kakwadash. And I want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone GMS, who do, of course, rule and teach well. So, I want to go into this short kind of video. I'm not going to go too long. I'm going to go read a couple scriptures. So, I went on the King James. I went to the pride list, right? And, actually now I'm thinking about it just goes to show you how wicked this place is, how they, took that word pride and turned it into something else, the alphabet movement. But we know that, on a certain level, you should have pride in yourself, in, who you are, and things like that. Like, that's self-explanatory. However, an overabundance of pride, being arrogant, overconfident, cocky, things like that, we don't want to be like that, because that's the opposite of humility. It's important for us to be, humble in this thing, man. Let's just go into the scriptures, right? Proverbs 16:18, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Right? So that pride leads to destruction. Say, man, I gotta listen to what the elders and apostles say. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm not listening to this, or I'm not listening to that. I don't want to follow the order, right? Or, man, I'm not gonna listen to the Most High. I'm gonna take the chip anyway, right? Things like that. I'm just making examples of pride, right? Or say, I'm making up an example and say you got money. Say, man, but I'm not listening coming up under these guys. I got more money than them, right? That's the type of shit that gets you destroyed out here, That type of attitude is, liable to get you, jacked up in a serious way, right? Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, and before honor is humility, right? Like brothers bring it all the time, where Yashar Allah, princes of the power. What's a prince? Prince is the son of a king, right? Or a king in training, right? And that's what we are right now. We're here and we're learning, of course, through our suffering and our tribulation here in this place. We're also gaining, knowledge, wisdom, understanding of how to move, man. Of course, start with the elders and apostles, man. Going back, to Abba Bivens, right? That's learning who we are, right? But, we're learning, right? But to receive that honor at the end, right? To get that kingdom, we have to be humble, right? We have to have that humility, right? And be willing to, be born again, right? And come up, and worship Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, right? And understand, right? And it'll all be done through the Spirit, right? A man's pride shall bring him low, right? Proverbs, did I read all these? Proverbs 16:18, I read the first one. Proverbs 18:12, right? Proverbs 29:23, a man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Absolutely, right? That pride, that cockiness, that haughtiness is only gonna lead to destruction, man. And that's what all these other camps, they got pride. They don't wanna listen to us. They don't wanna, go get a job. That's what they'll say, or this and that. Or if we come at them, well, not even come at them. I mean, if we rebuke them for say for doing this, or going out wearing what was I see do the crowds, the fucking mass protests, to say, oh, well, we got more members, so you guys just hating. Or, I don't know if they actually said that, but I imagine behind closed doors, that's probably the type of shit they be saying or whatever. But, and even with them, I mean, I know Arrow IOIC, They get mad. They said, "You bet none of y'all better be watching GMS videos." Now I know brothers in the truth, GMS have put that out there, that video, the soundbite, and it goes to show you that pride. You don't want to admit that they're wrong, about the MOTB and about other breakdowns, right? About them not speaking on the name and so on and so forth, right? Sakai has a lot of pride. The fucking hat. Take the damn hat off. It's simple. You could put the hat on. You could put the hat back on when camp is over. And you wanna, you're on your way home. Put the hat back on. When you're at camp, take the hat off. You could wear a visor, I guess. That's your style. That's what you want to do. You could wear a visor, but it's just nothing that covers the crown of the head. Like Apostle Paul broke down. Sirach 10:9. Why is earth and ashes proud? There's not a more wicked thing than covetous man. For such as one set his own soul to sale, because while he liveth, he casts away his bowels. Right? So, why is earth and ashes proud? Right? And that's what we, consist of, man. The same elements that are in dirt, in the earth. Right? And that's why, when the body dies, it starts to decompose. I think after like 4 days. Yeah, about 4 days. If I remember correctly, the body starts to break down. It returns back to those, ashes and things like that. Right? And, of course, that goes back to Yahushua. That's why Yahushua rose on the third day. Right? And came back. Because, it's pretty much before the time the body would start to break down and everything. And that was just meant to be, an example of that, of his power and of his ability to conquer death. Right? He wasn't bound by the rules of death. He actually has the keys, to life and death. Right? Of course, all in the orders of the Heavenly Father. He decides who lives and who dies. He has the keys to David. Right? It was the key to the door of David. He decides who comes in this truth, who stays, who goes, right? And things, like that. Those candlesticks, you act right. He'll remove your candlestick, and you fall out, and you just be, just a, nigga in the world, right? And that happens to some people. People fall out, and they bug out. Some, like that guy in Ohio, right? And that was a damn shame, man, because I used to watch him for a little bit back when I was like younger in the faith. He was like, he was exhorting, man, and now I just see him. I watched him like months or whatever, and then I find out that this is what happened to him. It's just the bug out talking about the universe now. The hell is the universe? And he said that, what he's trying to say, he said, oh yeah, Yahweh is retarded, right? Which, that's not the name, right? But I'm just saying that's what he said, right? Now, if he said Yahweh, I wouldn't even repeat that, right? But, yeah, that's I don't even, I'm just baffled. You can't call your creator that word, right? Like, the fact that you're saying that just shows how wicked, you really are, right? I said, let the wicked be wicked still, let the righteous be righteous still. So, you leave people like that, just let them do what you're gonna do, right? Leave that to having the Most High when to handle that, Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of woman, right? And I looked at it in the GNT, pretty much arrogancy and violence, and the Most High didn't intend for man to be made to do those things, man, right? And that's why, you get really mad or fed up, or hell, even violent or whatever. You feel a certain way, especially when it involves like your own people. I'm like, man, like, why I let myself get to that point, man. Like I could have walked away. Right? Of course, certain situations where you can't walk away, but in situations where you can walk away, and you wind up letting somebody have it. It's like, man, like I know better, right? So it's always that kind of thing, right? And we're not supposed to be arrogant, having abundance of confidence, and being in that kind of spirit, right? Like Scripture says, man, I have to say, God willing, right? Most High willing, y'all willing, right? Y'all ratazah, that's how you say it, right? Y'all wills, because it's not through us. We don't do nothing. We have to wait on Him, right? With faith, the Heavenly Father through His Son Yahushua to, rise up and gain vengeance, right? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, right? So, we're not gonna be out here in that haughty and proud spirit, carrying guns and carrying poles at camp, things like that, right? So I'm gonna let that be that, the one to edify and to show 'em.